Well, our next segment is our True Ghost Stories segment. To introduce you with my notes. First, I'd like to introduce KT Pinto. KT writes alternate history, romance, alternate reality in the speculative fiction genre.
I write stuff.
Woohoo! She has a vampire series out called The Books of Insanity.
Just a sale.
And a superhero series called Stowe's House Presents.
Which is out of stock.
And just received a grant for a project called End of the Rainbow. For more info, go to KTPinto.com. Try to change the atmosphere a little bit. So you guys are not to read a script this time. Kind of
Bring the knife down a little
Whoa,
bit.
nice.
Here we go.
So Patrice, I probably did not give you enough update on this, but
You probably
KT
did,
lives.
I'm a good
You
listener.
live in Staten Island,
I live
correct?
in Staten Island, yep.
And there are many ghosts there.
I actually started seeing ghosts as, first time I remember was when I lived in Brooklyn. And there was a rumor among the neighborhood kids. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, okay. There was a rumor among the neighborhood kids that my next door neighbor had killed her husband and put his body in the trunk in the backyard. The backyard was huge. And
That's very New York.
it's very New York. And me being a 8-year-old kid who always had a crazy imagination, I could look out my window in my backyard and see their backyard because they had like 2 lots worth of a backyard, and I saw the ghosts nightly, and that's how I first started seeing ghosts. I really didn't know what I was seeing, but it was this glowing image that was always right by where the trunk was. Because we saw the trunk during the daylight, you could see the trunk kind of half out of the ground, so they didn't bury it very well. So and we didn't talk about it very much because supposedly either the wife or the son killed this husband, and they were all still living in that house. So we didn't say much, and I kept it to myself about seeing the ghost because I don't like having my arms like this, men in white coats taking me away. So I kept it to myself. We moved to Staten Island, and the neighborhood where I lived in is relatively new. It was from the 80s, so there really was no ghosts in my neighborhood. And then I moved up to Kingston, New York. And for those of you that don't know, Kingston was burned down. The whole town was burned down. It was the capital of New York. It launched the Revolutionary War. And it's still the most depressing place you could ever be. So it is boring and horrible. And if you drive on the New York State Thruway, just keep driving until you hit Albany.
But then you hit Buffalo, which is probably in competition.
That's a really long drive. You have to really be depressed to drive all the way to Buffalo. So, but apparently my apartment was in a ghost road. And I don't know if everyone knows what that is, but ghosts tend to travel a certain path. And lucky for me, the path went right through my dining room. And the only way to get from my bedroom to the bathroom was to go through the dining room. And it would be nice if you go out there and you would just see, and I could see at this point, I was 28, you could see full body apparitions, full body ghosts. So I saw women in what I call little house on the prairie outfits with the little holly hobby hats, and I saw a little boy and with the suspenders on, and they just, as long as I didn't try to walk across that path, and I was not going to do that, they left me alone, and they always followed the same route, which is why it seemed to be a ghost road as opposed to just the house being haunted. They never stayed. We never had like weird thumps in the night or anything like that. It was just every once in a while, and my husband at the time, he didn't see it, but he had heard of ghosts being there. So when I finally started working at Snug Harbor, which is what these pictures are of, Snug Harbor is on Staten Island, and in the 1800s it was a place for sailors to retire. And it was a place for them to retire up until the 1970s, so there was a lot of living and dying going on in this harbor. This house that they're showing is the Matron's cottage, and the Matron matron was in charge of the women. A matron was in charge of the women who did the laundry. As I worked there, I worked there for a year and a half. We found more and more stories about, and then not printed stories, it was more rumors and tales. But there was a whole little soap opera going on. There was a full hospital on the campus at the time, and besides the fact that they took care of the dying, which I'm backtracking a bit, there's a huge field where you could see, well, I could see spirits kind of floating across this field. The doctors who worked in this hospital had cottages along one road. One of the doctors who lived in one of the cottages was having an affair with the matron who was in charge of the cleaning girls. Supposedly the matron had a son who was developmentally disabled. She wasn't supposed to have a son, but how she kept that secret, that's not part of the tale. And B, since he was developmentally disabled, when she would go to work, she would lock him in chains in the basement. And the story is that one day he got free of his chains, went up to her attic apartment, and killed her with a pair of scissors. Then her ghost is supposed to be in this cottage. Now, I didn't know this story when I first started working there, but this cottage is the creepiest building ever. You walk in and you I just get shivers and tingles all over my body, and I never made it up to that. That's in the daylight. I never made it up to the attic apartment. It just, as you would go up the stairs, it would just get creepier and creepier. Supposedly what happened is that the sailors found out that the son killed the matron, and then they hung him from a tree in the back of the cottage. Not that big one. And that's why there's the old picture, because that tree no longer exists. Supposedly they hung him. If you go to the back of the cottage, every once in a while you'll see a shimmer in the air, but there'll be no fog. There'll be nothing. It'll be a clear sky, and you'll see this shimmer. To go along with that story, the wife of the doctor in the cottages found out that he was having this affair and killed the doctor. His ghost is fine. His ghost isn't there. But when we had some artists, female artists residing in these cottages, the female artists could not stay in that cottage. Only females. The male artists had no problem, but the female artists would always get the creeps. They would hear doors slamming. They would hear get out. So we could not put female artists in there.
His ghost gets away scot-free.
His ghost gets away scot-free.
So the ghost world is also featured?
It really is.
Just checking.
It was a different world then.
Huh?
It was a different world.
Oh, so ghosts are judged on
when they
their
die.
Okay.
Well,
I just want to make sure I'm scared with all of you.
it's more that I think also that the wife was so pissed off that even after death, she still did not want any women, especially single women, anywhere near her house. That's how I rationalize it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know Snug Harbor because there's artists. There's a whole bunch of the big artist community out
Yes.
there. There's a lot of art happenings around there. Is that a photographer's house? What is her name? The female photographer? Is that not Snug Harbor? What I'm thinking of?
Snug
With the
Harbor.
view of the bridge?
No, that's Alice Austin House.
Right, and that's not Snug.
That's not Snug.
Okay,
It's the same area, the same old area.
It is, okay.
Yes, but Snug Harbor is 83 acres. It's like an enclosed space.
Oh, okay.
Alice Austin House is closer to.
Sorry, I need to get my Staten Island
No,
geography
that's okay.
down.
I'm impressed you know Alice Austin
I'm from
House.
Long Island. You should be extra.
I'm really impressed. Because, well, first of all, most people don't know that Staten Island exists. So, I mean, there's four boroughs.
You pass through to go to Jersey?
It is. There's that place you pass through. There's the four boroughs and that other thing that the garbage dump, which is no longer a garbage dump. Just so you all know, it is now a park. It is now the Fresh Kills Park.
Right.
It's now the Fresh Kills Park.
The
And
ghost of all the garbage.
I was gonna say, is it the haunted park at least?
they put
garbage
Rachel
still
Carson
haunts
is
the
really
island.
excited. Her ghost is very happy. Alright, so just to backtrack.
I know that was a lot. I know that was-
No, that's a lot of good New York ghost history. So, but obviously this has been something that's been part of your life for a while. So, basic other ghost people experiencing stories, if there are, a lot of people tend to experience other senses kind of awakening or kind of being a little bit hyperactive. Did you ever feel like, was your skin tingling? Did you ever feel cold or hot? I mean, obviously you have these very definite presences like between Brooklyn and Kingston and Staten Island, where you know that these things have happened. Have you been in other places, maybe where you've like felt something happens? Or
And not know the background.
yeah, I mean, I guess so. The first question is, have you had a sensory experience besides the reliant sight experience of this? Like, do you hear things? Do you physically feel whatever goosebumps or hot or cold? Or do you feel these preferences?
I feel the goosebumps, the hot or cold, but it's tough to know what it's from. If you don't know the history of something, because I also am an empath. I also am a polytheist, so I interact with the gods. So if you don't know what it is, it could be, you know, one of the gods hitting me over the head because I'm doing something stupid, or
Fair enough.
you know, or it could be if someone's really upset, you know, you tend to feel it. So it may not be a ghost. So I never take it, I never assume it's a ghost without finding out. Or it could just be, you know, that I have the flu and I should just go to bed, you know.
It's also fair, yeah.
It could be a lot of things. It's much better when you know the story. I mean, and there is a downside to that too, that people tend to think you're making it up because you know the story. With this image right here, this is my favorite image, because right here, if you can see it on the way, is where I saw the Matron. That, from that perspective.
Oh, really?
Right there,
Oh.
yeah. We were doing a historical hauntings tour, which we started up at Snug Harbor. And I knew the whole story of the Matron, and I don't go looking for these ghosts. I don't want to see them, I don't want to know them, I don't want to interact with them. I'm very happy on this side of the world, I don't want to be on their side. And what happened with this is we were downstairs, I was downstairs with a paranormal group that was working this building for the tour, and we're chit-chatting, and all of a sudden I see something that I think is a flashlight. Before I saw that, I felt exactly what you said. I felt a weird chill, I felt goosebumps, and that's what made me look up. Because I don't know why you tend to look up, I guess to look up and see the windows open. I don't know why the reflexive action is to look up, but I did. I kind of felt a chill, and like I said, the goosebumps, which is always an indication that something's up. And then I looked up and I saw what I thought was a flashlight, but everyone's downstairs. So I'm going, guys, is anyone upstairs? And they said, no. Why? I said, well, because I just saw something. I just saw something with light from across. Well, them being crazy, they, being paranormal investigators, ran up the stairs to go investigate. Me, being the sane one, I don't want to know. Now, in hindsight, thinking about it, it was a train of a gown that's flown past. And since she wore, you know, the bustle train ensemble, that's what it was in my mind. It could have been a flashlight, and I just don't know. But because of the reaction that I had beforehand,
Right.
For it to all come together like that makes me think that what I saw is what I saw.